All right, and we are back. This time with Aeternum versus X9, with Aeternum killing as the Blight versus X9 Survivor Team, and a very early and very clean hit there by the Blight. Of course, bringing good old Corrupt intervention. And Blighted Crow and Blighted Rat. A bit of a life there from the Ace for what it's worth, but not getting a lot of distance. Another whiff there from the Blight. This time the Blighted Rush gonna get hit around the corner of the tile. I imagine Ace feeling something about that one there. That being said, Ace gonna be dragged off into the distance, and looks like they are being put up on the hill here. Just barely avoiding the wiggle off. And looks like Blight looking around, seeing if there is someone nearby. We do see the Nancy waiting in the wings. As far as what other perks the Blight has, I will at least reveal one, that of which being a Pop Goes the Weasel. That which will regress the most progressed gen by, or not the most progression, that will regress the gen by 30% of its current progression. That being said, we do see the Claudette now in chase, and that Pop Goes a Weasel on this gen. Claudette going to go back, but Blight also going to go back, this time for the tunnel out on the Ace, I'd imagine. Sure enough, there is the Ace. We do see the haste aspect from the unhook, but not going to be enough, as the Ace will go down quickly thereafter, and it would appear that the Ace will be put on hook the second time here, meaning that they're one hook away from being sent back to the campfire via the entity. We do see the reset there on the Claudette. They are healed up as the first gen is completed for these survivors. Looking like Claudette might be setting up for the unhook, or at least stealthing out around the Blight here. Blight not seeing them right away, but will see those scratch marks that the Claudette has left. Looking like we're going to do a quick swing out here, and Claudette going to try and make use of this tile. Blight, though, with the pop in hand. That is also a brutal strength incoming. I do want to point out survivors are also probably keenly aware of an eruption in play. That being said, Claudette gonna take that hit, moving over towards main. Looks like Blight not gonna go for the Claudette as of right now. Instead, taking it on the Nia, it would seem, as Nia with Overcome and Lucky Break here, going to make the way over towards main as well, maybe meet up with the Claudette for a bit of a reset. That being said, Ace just moments away from being set back to the campfire via the entity. We'll see if there's anyone on their way in order to get the unhook, but it looks like the Ace will be sent back to the campfire, leaving us with the Nancy here on hook about 70% of the way. But we see the Nia going down. Claudette not healed either. This is a fantastic position for Aeternum's killer, as Claudette is going to be dragging the Blight further away. Blight going for the insta break there. About 3 tokens used, though, meaning that the Claudette has a little bit of time, a little bit of a reprieve before they need to worry for another Blighted Rush. Here's the Blighted Rush, though. Blight gonna go for it, trying to go for the break, but Claudette not gonna go for the drop. That is all of the tokens left. X9 with another gen completion, but a survivor on the ground. Blight going for the break here with their brutal strength, and a Blighted Rush not gonna follow up on the Claudette. Instead, looks like they're gonna go back for the Nia here. No, instead, finding the Nancy, it would seem, but Nancy not gonna be chased for that much longer. Instead, we see the pallet drop there. Unfortunately for them, the survivor on the wrong side, and that there will be the pickup for the Blight. A series of unfortunate events, to say the least, and especially as the Claudette passes by the hook. That is going to be a dire situation here, but Blight will fatigue out of their Blighted Rushes, and Claudette gonna be going down here, as we do see that unhook here from the Nancy. Blight looking to get a hit on the Nancy, it would seem, will successfully do so. And looks like the Blight will continue to pursue them here at the LT wall. They will get the vault, and Blight gonna be going back potentially for the Nia, and yeah, They're going to interrupt that pickup. Instead, Nia put into a difficult positions as they're going to be pushed further into the opposite pocket. For those who do not know why we are currently watching Survivors instead of the killer, there is what we call screen tearing or shearing, or the horizontal movement of the killer. So you can kind of see that stuttering just makes a few people motion sick. Not exactly the greatest for quality either. So we will end up watching Survivors for the most part as we see the Claudette trying to use the bump logic of the Blight to their advantage. However, will take the hit instead. These Survivors making some risky plays, and looks like Blight just gonna walk this one in as the Claudette will end up going down. Nia will end up getting healed here, it would seem, as we do see the Nancy and the Nia over there in the distance. That there is a will make it, allowing for that quicker heal. Looks like Nancy, though, will not get healed here, allowing the Nia a second chance. That being said, Survivor's in a bit of a awkward position. They need to get another gen done quickly. However, Blight here for the 1-for-1 exchange. Claudette going trying to take the body block, and looks like it will not happen as Nancy will end up going down. Claudette will get another chance here. The question is, will the Blight follow up soon after? We'll have to wait and see. That being said, Nia about 1/3-ish, 1/5 of the way through on this gen, and we will see a self-unhook here from the Nancy, that which being a deliverance, while the Claudette will go down over in this corner. Light not going for the immediate pickup, though, maybe sensing something like a decisive strike in the mix, instead finding the Nia here, and I think getting another pop goes the Weasel off on this gen. Not a lot of progression for what it's worth, and we're going to see another hit here on the Nia. And Overcome going to get them some distance, but no lucky break for the Blight to lose track of. And it looks like Nia just going to try and take him to the back corner here. We will see the vault on the pallet, the revault to maybe a potential mind game here, as they are going to attempt the vacuum pallet. And there it is. There's the break. Nia avoiding the down. I want to say that's all of the Blight's tokens as well. And we will see the vault of the window. Blight trying to mind game here, will successfully gain some distance. There's the Blighted Rush. Nia trying to use the corner to her advantage, but that there will be the down, and looking like Nia will be sent back to Campfire via the Entity. Nancy on a new gen, and the Claudette just kind of hanging out over by Shaq. There's going to be a 2v1 snare at 3 gens remaining. And looks like Claudette just going to kind of hang out here. Gonna go behind this rock to try and stealth out as Blight will rush around. They have a few gens to choose from, and looks like they will choose incorrectly as Nancy here, still injured mind you, is going to continue working on this generator. However, it will not take long for Blight to explore all their options as it's looking like they might be on their way. Yeah, sure enough, there they are. Nancy just holding out though for as long as possible. There's the pop, there's the sprint burst for what it's worth, but Nancy not making any distance whatsoever. And looking like we are going to see the down there on the Nancy. Question is where the Claudette is. Blight going to go for the slug out. They know full well that this player was the Deliverance player, which means that they are going to have Unbreakable as well. It's rare to not see it on the Deliverance player, and we do get to confirm it via that yellow progression bar. That being said, though, Claudette just going to be hanging out here in the corner of the map as Blight is going to get some kicks in. Also proccing Eruption if that is off of cooldown. That being said, though, looks like Nancy not picking herself up right away. I'm not sure the reasoning for that specifically. We do see Claudette still off in the distance. Just trying to hide out from the Blight. That being said, Claudette just going to be staying here. They do not have a tool in hand for them to avoid the crows, so they are forced to move around at least ever so slightly to avoid the crows spawning on them. That being said, though, Nancy pretty close to the Blight. I imagine they're 99.9, and yeah, there's the pickup. I'm wondering if they're trying to save the Unbreakable for something else, or maybe that they've already used it when we were not already aware. Either way is that it's going to be Nancy on second hook here, one stage away from being sent past the campfire via the entity. I imagine they're going to set up for a hatch play, or at the very least attempting an escape via the exit gates. Both are quite close by though, and we do see the Blight hanging around as well. I mean, this is not the best position for the Claudette to be in. I imagine the Blight is going to go for this hatch, and then maybe take a peek at the X gate, rush over to the other one, and maybe they're just hoping for a good split. Ooh, that's playing a dangerous game. If you can see the Blight, they might be able to see you. They're going to take a look at this exit gate. But these X gates are not too far away, not to mention the Blight might have line of sight there, and it kind of looks like they do. We see the Blight just hovering around this area, and yeah, things are looking grim for X9, as this is looking like it's going to be a 4K at 2 gens remaining here. So an unfortunate scenario indeed. That being said, looks like we are going to wait out EGC about less than 2 minutes left before EGC claims the Claudette. He's going to have to make a move at some point, and looks like they are going to, but Blight seeing them right away. We see that Blighted Rush incoming. Blight going to try and make their lives a little bit difficult, as we do see that bump logic. Blight going to fatigue out, allowing the Claudette to jump into the locker and make a vault as well, extending the chase ever so slightly. Blight going for a cheeky swing at the window, but it does not connect. No pallets whatsoever. Blight getting a little bit turned around, but there is the hit. And we are one hit away from closing this out. Claudette just going to be holding still here. Not a lot in the way of resource. Blight getting faked out though, and a surprise dead hard. I'm not sure if that was purposeful or not, or a little bit of panic, but that there will end the match here, as Blight and Claudette give each other a little bit of nodders, and that there will end trial number 1 of this match. That being said, we are going to go into the final trial of qualifier number 2 in just one moment. But before we do want to remind everyone here today about Championship of the Fog. If you guys haven't heard about Championship of the Fog, it is very much similar to that of Dead by Daylight Community Cups. In fact, we're going to be running 3 different regions, EU, NA, and SA, on October 28th. All right, and we are back for the final trial of today's qualifiers. And it is a nurse from X9 against Aeternum Survivor Team, and they are going to need to get a 4K at 2 gens to tie, or a 4K at 1 gen or less completed in order to claim victory here in round number 3. That being said, Ada gonna be taking a hit there. Was a little bit confused there by where Ada was, and that there is gonna be a 2-tap there on the Ada. Excellently done by the nurse. A little bit of a flash blind attempt there by the Nia, but unsuccessful in doing so. As far as perks are concerned, we only know of a Corrupt Intervention as of right now. The other 3, a little bit of a unknown. That being said, we do hear this gen here with a little bit of progression, looking like an ace jumping off the gen, and that there is going to be a Pop Goes the Weasel, as well as an Eruption here. Unfortunately, we do not have Eruption available for you to see what that does, but for those who do not know, it will apply Eruption to any gen kicked, and upon the next down, will regress the gen by 10% and reveal the aura of survivors, I believe for like 3 seconds or so. Let me know in chat if that is accurate. That being said, Nurse not going to pursue the survivor on that gen, instead going for the J-Kira, hit around the corner. Absolute great precision there by the Nurse. However, Nurse seeing scratch marks of someone else. This here is the Ada, and with 1 hook on them already, a great person to potentially tunnel out here. They are 2 hooks away from being sent back to the campfire via the entity. If the Nurse gets it down, it'll be only 1 hook away. Ada trying to fake out the Nurse here, will successfully do so at the corner on the double back. Nurse, though, not going to drop the chase just yet. And looks like the Ada will go into style, but a Dead Hard coming in. Going to give the Ada another chance as they are going to have the Deep Wound stats effect applied to them. And looks like a fatigue out there at the locker. The Ada doing a great job giving their team a little bit of extra time here. That being said, Ada will end up going down. Do want to note that very often, at least, the survivor with Dead Hard is also the survivor with Decisive Strike. So at the very least, it looks like the nurse may have avoided it this time round, but they might have to be careful about it in the next chase with this Ada. That being said, fourth and final perk getting revealed here is in fact a Rancor as 2 gens are completed. I do believe this now does mean this is the tie condition, meaning that if survivors do complete 1 more gen, that there will result in a win for Aeternum here in round 3. With Jake down on the ground, things are looking grim for these survivors. Nurse going to be in a great position to potentially go for the 4K here, tying things up. That being said, Ace going to be taking the hit. And we just have the Nia now up and about uninjured. Nurse going to be going back. Looks like we do see the pickup on the Jake. Not sure if that's an unbreakable or something else. Either ways, Nurse going to be going for the 1-for-1 here. And looks like they're once again going to slug out the Jake. Instead, going to go for the Ada, who has a lot of distance here, as well as a Dead Hard. There's Dead Hard. There's the hit. The question is there a Decisive Strike with 2 survivors on the ground now? In addition to that, with that aggressive 1-for-1 and a potentially an unbreakable, I do wonder if that could have possibly been a unbreakable in hand and potentially to deliverance that the nurse may have just robbed from that survivor. That being said, we see the Nia, but the Ace is also nearby. Nurse realizing that too, gonna do a dry kick on this gen, but a blast mine gonna blind them and us alike, as well as stunning the nurse for just a little bit. That being said, Jake back up off the ground once again, potentially the Ace actually this time. And Nurse losing a whole lot of pressure as 3 survivors now picked up off the ground. 3 of them still injured, however. We do see the Ada trying to make their way over into this pocket next to Shaq. That being said, not sure where they went. Looks like they did go deeper into the pocket, hugging the edge wall. A great position for the survivors to be. For those of you who do not know, the Nurse, very much like a knight in chess, at their absolute worst at the edge of the map, as their movement is heavily restricted. That being said, Nurse wanting to get this down, desperate to do so and remove a survivor from this game. That being said, they cannot waste all too much more time lest they end up losing another gen. And Ada playing with fire there just within the Nurse's POV. There's Eruption once again regressing that gen, this time by only 10%. The question is where these other survivors might be. Let's actually take a look real quick. We see Jake here on this gen, pretty deep into the progression at 50%. Ace on this gen with a Deja Vu in hand, another 50% gen, and there is the Ada, the Nia completing their gen. That's the 3rd and final gen needed as Aeternum will walk away victorious here in round number 3. That being said, these players now playing for their honor as we see the Nurse thinking about going for the Jake, but instead gonna be going elsewhere, trying to see where these gens might be. And looks like we do see a gen here in the back. Actually, no, looks like they were chasing the Ace. This is the Jake here, injured. And this is a fantastic position for the Nurse to be in, as they will be able to get a potential pop and a eruption applied to this gen if they're able to get the down in time. Jake gonna drag the Nurse to the corner, will get that hit too. And this here will be a pop eruption on this gen. The question then is whether or not the survivors will be able to get any progression elsewhere. Jake's first time on hook. That's actually the first hook other than the Ada, and this is going to be 30% regression off of this generator. And looks like we do have the Ace pretty well progressed on this gen, but not enough for them to risk getting downed here by the Nurse. Nia also 50% into their gen here as well. And it looks like Nurse not wanting to go for the ace, instead just kind of hanging around right now. Maybe looking for the Nia here. That being said, Nurse just holding their blink for as long as possible. Just boxing out these survivors, maybe trying to secure second stage. We see what looks to be the ace here, getting out of dodge, but that there is a deliverance from the Jake off in the distance. Looks like they were able to successfully get it. Nurse going to be going back over towards this gen, trying to see if the Jake has made their way past, but that there is going to be another gen completed, that there is the Nia's gen, and this will also mean that Jake is revealed via the Rancor. Looks like Jake, though, making their way over towards the other side of main, doing a good double back there, confusing Nurse, losing a lot of distance. The question now is whether or not these survivors can complete the last generator before they go down, and looks like Nurse, concerned with that, will make the way over towards main building. Gen sounds pretty well progressed here, as the ace will avoid the Nurse's blink strike and make the way into this tile. Question is, where is the Nia in all of this? And looks like Nurse once again doing a very clean hit here on the ace. Trying to make their way over to the pocket. Nurse realizing they cannot pursue lest the gen get completed, but that there is a 10% regression off of that generator. 9 seconds off the gen. Nurse knowing exactly where these survivors are now. That's either the Nia or the Jake. We'll have to wait and see. No sign of whoever it might be, at least not so far, but the blood does give it away that there is the Jake, and Nurse trying to get this down quickly here in order to avoid them completing this gen, but no. Hold up. The Jake and the Nia were back there. Nia taking the hit. All 3 survivors currently injured. That being said, though, it looks like Jake trying to complete the gen. I imagine the ace trying to do the same on theirs. But Nurse not going to go for the down. Instead, going to do the kick. Going to go for a dry kick on the gen. Progressing it by 2.5%, followed by 0.3% per second thereafter. However, the ace has to be close. Deja Vu coming in clutch. It is going to be a close one here, folks. And there it is. 5th generator completed. And it looks like we are also going to see those exit gates powered 20 seconds away on each exit gate. And looks like Nia here potentially going to be the sacrificial lamb as Nurse goes for an aggressive blink strike, but failing to connect. Nia making their way over towards the exit gates here. No, actually, they might be setting up for the hatch escape instead. These exit gates open here and now. They might just be able to escape, but Nurse, once again, narrowly missing. As Nia is starting to make their way over to the exit gate, we see the lights flashing, primed and ready to be opened. Nurse going to be making their way through. Looks like Survivor's healing up. Jake opening it, though, and Nia, I think, will escape here, as I imagine it's going to be a bit of a heal tech. Yeah, Nurse unable to make it work. Both of them crawling out of the exit gate together. Ace left by their lonesome, and this here will be a 3-man out in favor of Aeternum.